I made some months ago on Audible, and I will put this video alongside this newest video so you could watch them both. But the reason I'm updating the review is because I have a lot more to say about Audible, which I think is an excellent service. I want to say at the outset, however, that I have not affiliated with Amazon, which is the owner of Audible.com, in any way, shape, or form. They don't pay me to make these reviews. I do it just because I think it's such a great service, and I want to let other people know about it, because in this day and age, there's a lot of poor value out there, and when something is of excellent value, I think it's something that we should spread the word about. Anyway, I want to explain how Audible works. It is a service that is a subscription service, but you can cancel any time. It costs $14.95 a month to subscribe to two types of catalogs. One is a so-called free service where you can listen to as many audiobooks as you want, and those tend to be titles that are not the most popular or the most current releases. However, you can stream as many of those per month as you want. And then, of course, they have another catalog which consists of the latest releases, and you can order one of those every month, and that costs $14.95. That includes the title from the latest releases and also the unlimited streaming catalog for $14.95 a month. I believe they have a what I'll call a la carte catalog, the one I just explained, unlimited streaming of older titles, less popular, for just $7.95 a month. But for just $7 more per month, then you get both the latest releases and the unlimited streaming. Of course, the one book that you can purchase is something that you own forever, so to speak. You don't lose that once you stop subscribing to Audible, whereas with the unlimited streaming catalog, of course, it's not unlimited, because if you stop subscribing, then you will no longer be able to access those recordings anymore. But for the $14.95 plan, then you have that one title every month that you can keep even if you stop subscribing to Audible. Now, I think what people don't understand, especially if they are not really conversant with the cutting edge of the internet and the latest streaming technologies, is that streaming allows you to get audiobooks at an extremely low price because the files are, of course, electronic. They're audio files that sit on your computer. And so Audible does not have to package these programs in the old format of tapes that you are all familiar with if you're of a certain age. And, of course, that system was flawed in my judgment because, first of all, those tapes were extremely poor quality. They had a lot of hiss, a lot of background sound, and that was very, very annoying. Plus, of course, they weren't environmentally friendly because you have all this packaging that is just a burden, because where are you going to store it in your house? What are you going to do with it when you're done? Yes, you could donate it, and that's nice, but it all involves a certain amount of labor and a certain amount of organization. Otherwise, you have something that's going to sit in a landfill eventually. But it's also more expensive because you have to pay for that extra packaging and plastic. But with an audio file, it's much cheaper. And so Audible can pass the savings on to you in the form of a less expensive price for the latest audiobook. And in fact, every audiobook on Audible is the same price if you subscribe. In other words, the $14.95 includes almost every possible single title that you can imagine, including the latest releases and the longest audiobooks imaginable. For example, one of my favorite titles is in the Audible Plus catalog. That is the catalog that is streaming only, unlimited streaming, and that is Sherlock Holmes, narrated by Stephen Fry. That is a magnificent recording. It's more than 70 hours of the complete canon of Arthur Conan Doyle on Sherlock Holmes. Absolutely one of my favorite. I've been listening for it for years, and I still haven't listened to every single program on there, but I fully intend to. And that is available to me through the unlimited streaming catalog. So if I stop subscribing to Audible, I will no longer have access to that, which really breaks my heart. But anyway, of course, you can get the cheaper version and you have access to that for as long as you subscribe. So that is a magnificent thing. It used to be purchasable, just like the other titles in their $14.95 catalog. So you could have gotten a 72-hour program for 1 credit, which would cost you $14.95 a month. And of course, you don't just get the title forever. You also get the streaming catalog. So it's hard to match that kind of value. And that is a value you get because you don't have the packaging and the plastic that would cost extra in the past. They also have a daily special that's low cost. For instance, $4.95 or $5.95, you can get a daily special, and sometimes those titles are very good. For example, here's one, The World Played Chess, looks like a novel, for $3.95. Deal ends at 11:59 p.m. Well, you can start accumulating titles real fast this way, and I have to admit I have a library which is humongous on Audible, and it would probably take me 3 years to listen to all the titles I've accumulated over the years and can read in my library, which is located at the top of the page. But I fully intend to listen to all of them. It's sometimes you can't resist and you see a daily deal for something like $3.95 and you just have to go for it. And of course, then you have that title forever, so to speak, whether you keep subscribing or not. So this is a deal that's hard to match. This is a fairly recent thing, this streaming catalog that allows you to sample any title anytime for as long as you want. The reason Audible added this Plus catalog is because there are other services out there that were streaming and taking some of Audible's business away. And so because of that competition, it's another advantage that the consumer has, that they now have that extra value. And in fact, it was $14.95 before for the monthly credit that was the only thing you got per month. And now for the same amount, you get the monthly credit plus the Audible Plus catalog. So that makes for even a greater value. What else is good about Audible? Well, you can play your titles on your smartphone or through your smartphone on Amazon Alexa. You can play them through any other Bluetooth speaker, Sonos or whatever, including in most late model cars you can stream instantly as long as it has Bluetooth. And that's one of the best ways of enjoying Audible. There is nothing like listening to Audible on long car trips. They will suddenly become short car trips, and in fact, you won't want your drive to end, whether it's driving to work or driving on a vacation. Some people have reported that even if they get into minor fender benders, they have continued to listen to the program and have considered that to be an enjoyable ride. Hard to believe, but I've heard stories like that. So, yes, I'm singing the praises of Audible, and some people would say, I don't want to feed the Amazon beast. And I allude to this point of view in my other review of Audible, in my first review of Audible. I'm not into boycotts of services that are quite unique. You know, the saying goes, if you build a better mousetrap, then the best way to get back at that mousetrap is to build a better one of your own, and then people will gravitate to your service. So I'm not going to boycott everything in the world. There's a lot of corporations out there that fully deserve boycotting. And if Amazon is one for you, that's good for you, that's fine. But I don't include Amazon on my boycott list. And that's partly because of the quality of Audible.com. I didn't used to like to listen to books read to me. There was something almost insulting about that to me at one time. I don't need someone to read to me. I mean, I'm fully capable of reading myself. I have a PhD. Most of the books that I've enjoyed over the course of my long life, I have read with my eyes. And there is, of course, something very, very charming about reading a book because you can regulate the incoming information, obviously, in real time. It's harder to do that with audio. On the other hand, if you're listening to a biography, well, it's a unique experience to hear the actual person telling the story of their life. It's almost unbelievably exciting. But the other thing is that there are these amazing narrators who make stories come alive as nobody else can. The greatest narrators that I know of on Audible are people like George Weddell, David Rintoul, Mark Bramhall. The list really goes on and on and on. And of course, as I said, autobiographies are often narrated by the authors themselves. And more historians and other people who write books are narrating their own books. And more often than not, they do a credible job of it because the recording producers of the audio companies, like Recorded Books, are very professional in how they produce these recordings. They really are like movies. They're produced with a high level of professionalism. And finally, you will never run out of titles to get excited about because the latest titles are always flooding out every week. There's always something new every week. And if a book comes out that is brand new, it's almost certainly the case that the Audible version is released exactly at the same time as the book that has just been released for the first time. So that is another thing that is very, very nice. And one of the advantages you get from Audible, precisely because it is an Amazon company, is that sometimes you can get these latest titles for a vastly reduced price, say half price, if you buy the Kindle version at the same time. And some people like to listen while they read. And that's also for perfectly understandable, and some people don't like to do that, but if that's your thing, then more power to you. So that's another way to get Audible at a much cheaper price, precisely because it is an Amazon company. Now you might not believe it because I have been saying all these nice things about Audible, but once again, I am an independent reviewer. I do not work for Amazon. I do not get anything from Amazon or Audible for making these statements. But when something is uplifting in life at the time in which we live today, when so much is dreary and depressing in our pandemic normal today, I think it's something that should be shared. And if you don't want to partake of Audible, that's fine. Good for you. But it may be something that you find really invigorating and uplifting, and we can all use that in this time and place. So I hope you've enjoyed this review. I may have a third review at some point if I have more to add, which I probably will because Audible is always adding new features to their service. And I haven't even covered every possible part of the Amazon service in this video, just the ones that I thought were particularly interesting. Thanks for listening.